Hello everyone, this is Ssemusu Patrick, and in today's lesson I'm going to take you through a database, and in our database we are going to look at the hands-on. We have previously talked about what is database, the types of database, and other related terminologies basing on database. So let us now today look at the hands-on, and we are going to look at creating database tables. Now, when you're going to create a database table, you need first of all to have information that you'll use to populate in your table. It can depend on, or it can base on students, so you can capture information about students. You can capture information about employees. You can as well use it in a retail shop basing on the items or the products you have in your retail shop. So that is the preamble, or what you can consider when you're designing a database table. Now, from the beginning, let us begin by creating a folder on the desktop where our database file is going to be saved. So create a folder on the desktop. Our folder has to be given a name, so we'll give it a name, database files. So let us give it that name, and in it is where our file is going to be saved. So we'll open our folder and we start our program, that is Microsoft Access, which is an example of database. So we'll right click in the space, and our program is Microsoft Access. So we'll start it. Our database name is going to be students, since we are going to deal with the students information. So we'll give it students records as our file name. So that will be our database name according to or let us change it. Let us call it students information, because we are going to base on students. So let us generalize it as students information as our database name. So when that is done, we'll now open it, and this is how our database file or our database window will show. Let us first of all enable these contents. Now let us now begin creating our table. So we'll begin by clicking on create. We always use table design, so click on table design, and this is the design view of the table. So we are going to create a simple table of around 5 fields. So let us have student's ID. Our student ID is going to run with auto number data type, but of a format students STID, which is students ID, and it will be represented with 3 digits, so represent 3 zeros. Then field next will be the first name, which will now run data type text. Then there are some situations where you are limited to the number of characters to use in some fields. For example, can say in the name field we'll only have names that have 20 characters. So this is what we call field size, the number of characters that will be used when you're populating a certain name in the first name column or in the first name field. So it will go up to 20 characters, which means a name that exceeds 20 characters cannot be accepted in the first name column. So it is the reason for this. That is, if you need to use it when you're creating your database table. Let us look at the next field, which will be the last name. We'll give it still data type text. We can as well limit the number of characters. We can say 18. Then field 4, we can consider the date of birth, which will run data type date stroke time, and our date format will run with the month, date, followed by the year. So this is the format of our date of birth. Then the other last field is going to be class. And our classes, let us use a lookup wizard. We already talked about what is a lookup wizard, so we are now practically applying a lookup wizard. So we'll click on this and choose lookup wizard. So our classes, let us put all the classes. Senior 1, sorry, this is senior 2, this is senior 3, this is senior 4, senior 5, sorry, senior 5, and senior 6. So these are our records that we'll use to populate the class field. We'll go to next, and this is the column field, and then we say finish. So these are our fields that we are going to consider according to our table. Now, when you're done with all your fields, don't forget to insert a primary key. We already talked about a primary key, and we said a primary key is a unique identifier of records in the database table. So according to our table, our unique field is going to be the student ID, which means it is where our primary key is going to be inserted. So we'll click on the field and then we click on primary key. So it will now mean that whenever you're entering records in the student ID field, there will be no duplicate in the student ID field. So it is the reason for the primary key when you're creating a database table. Let us save our table and let us save it as students. Students table 1 as our table name. We click OK, and this is our table after saving it. So we'll open it, and this is how it will show up after saving it. Let us now have some records, like 5 records in our table. Now when you look at the student ID field, it has this new, which means the records in the student ID field will be generated automatically. So we'll not need to type into this column, we'll just be typing into these other fields according to the table. So let us have some fields. So there's some records in the table. We can say this is Semboga, this is Slume, this is Nachite, this one is Mulengala, this one is Ssemusu, and let us have the last names. This is Ezra, this one is Raymond, sorry, this one is Shamim, this one is Marvin, and this one is Patrick. We give them date of birth. We say this one is this. Let's say this one is 2003. This one is this 2001. We have this one. This one is this, and then this one is 2003. So according to our table, that is the date of birth. Now, sorry, there's somewhere an error. This one is a dash. Now, when you look at the class field, we have this drop-down arrow. So, the reason for a lookup wizard, when you're populating records in a certain field, and those records are repeating somewhere, so you can use a lookup wizard to choose the record that you want. So, for example, we can say this one is in senior 2. This one is in senior 4. This one is in senior 6, senior 5, and senior 6. So you can see how useful is using a lookup wizard when you're populating data in your table. You don't need to type everything as you're populating data in a database table. So that is our simple table for today. Thank you very much for watching. Let us meet in the next lesson about creating other tables with some other data types and tables basing on relationship. So, thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Computer Elites Uganda. Let us meet next time. Thank you.